US sealing an interim trade framework. Revised 18% tariffs on India from 10:30 a.m. today. Remember, today US is to initiate the refund of duties collected. The revised 18% tariff duties by the United States will go into effect by 12:01 a.m. That is EST, or rather, if we speak of 10:30 a.m. of 7th February 2026 our time. Executive order issued by White House also mentions about the refund of duties collected effective with respect to goods entered for consumption or withdrawn from the warehouse for consumption on or after 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 7, 2026. Products of India imported into the US shall no longer be subject to the additional and ad valorem rate of duty of 25% imposed pursuant of the Executive Order 14329. This is basically the technicalities of that very order that's been issued now that we are bringing to you. And according to this particular order, what we will see is that a reduced tariff shall come into play, shall be executed. 50% was where the tariffs imposed by the United States on Indian goods stood at. And now that's reduced with an additional punitive 25% that had been added later. And now we see that being brought down to 18%, pushing up several countries in the list of countries which face tariffs from the United States way ahead of India. Because remember, there was a time last year itself when India was topping that very chart that had been brought out by Donald Trump in terms of US imposing tariffs on countries. And there was a rough patch, a turbulent time between India and US, with a strategic partnership also being looked at very closely between the two countries. Again, a partnership that's been historically shared between these two countries. But at this point, after negotiations have continued for months at end, we see this particular trade deal taking shape. And this trade deal comes in at a very crucial time when we see both countries pushing forward their own economies. Of course, India is a fast-growing, developing economy that we are looking at when we speak of the global circumstances, the global economic circumstances itself. It's amongst not just top 5 now, but it's inching towards the top 3 at this point of time as we speak. And at this point, when Make in India has been something that our Prime Minister has been quite vocal about, this very trade deal provides a framework for both economies, that is the Indian and the American economy, to flourish within a framework that pushes both consumption as well as production on either side. And it balances out the trade deal at this point, with the tariffs being reduced on one side by the United States from 50% to 18%. On the other side, India also coming out to negotiate and settle the fact that yes, India shall also be removing their tariffs on industrial goods that are being exported to the United States. So this is where it all stands. Of course, it's a slow development that we see coming in, but the reason it is also slow is because of the amount of negotiations that have been involved. Given the geopolitical circumstances, given the geopolitical scenario, it's been a tricky situation for sure for the last couple of months in terms of how things have been developing all across. But at the same time, let us tell you one thing very clearly: India has made sure that their stance is very clear. We've kept our calm and we have seen the storm through at this point of time, given that our relations with any country is independent of our relation with the United States. We decide what particular relation do we want to engage in and want to maintain with a certain country. So at this particular point of time, while the US is also very focused on what we were discussing earlier, that is decoupling with China, India, we had seen Prime Minister Modi in fact visit China last year itself at that Shanghai summit, and at the SCO summit in Shanghai. So which is something we are taking a look at this point of time, as to how in this multipolar world that's coming to establish itself with multiple powers playing together in the East and the West, how the India-US tie in fact strengthen itself even amid these geopolitical circumstances. Of course, from the Indian side, we've seen Piyush Goyal being at the helm of matters. We've seen him travel back and forth India and US to in fact be making sure what the terms of these very trade deals shall be. And at the end of it, it's all culminated to sealing this trade deal, which in fact at one point we were even looking at talks where they were saying that there is a possibility that the trade deal might be scrapped off completely, but that definitely doesn't seem to be the situation after the announcement, in fact, came in from Trump himself just a few days ago, announcing that yes, India and US are on for the trade deal and that we will be proceeding with it. And if we are to just look at the particular, in fact, Prime Minister Modi, before we get into the trade deal and the joint statement that's been coming out of the trade deal, over the trade deal, let me just take you through the fact that Prime Minister Modi has also, in fact, just earlier this day, come out to post on platform X, and he has, in fact, highlighted about how this framework reflects the growing depth, trust, and dynamism of this India-US strategic partnership that goes way back, and it strengthens the Make in India by opening new opportunities for India's hardworking farmers, entrepreneurs, MSMEs, startup innovators, fishermen, and more. So yes, there is a certain juxtaposition that we had seen earlier, where we saw both governments pushing buy American and buy Indian within their own countries, but this particular trade deal gives enough room and brings about a framework that will help both economies complement each other and grow. Pranay Upadhyay now joins me on the broadcast with more details on this particular deal. Pranay, we're focusing on the aspect where we see initiation of a refund at this point of time with this very lowering of tariffs from 50% to 18% that will be coming into effect from 10:30 a.m. Indian time today. If you could just elaborate a little on this particular aspect.
Shreya, this is a very important and a significant thing which both India and the United States and their negotiators have achieved in terms of signing an interim arrangement, interim deal between India and the United States as far as the trade is concerned. And therefore, this executive order was in waiting for long, and the executive order issued by the White House clearly specifies that the reduced 18% tariffs from 50% will go into effect at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is effectively around 10:30 a.m. India time. So the big news is that the 18% reduced tariff duties will go into effect at around 10:30 a.m. India time. And as you know, that the trade is a longer and a complicated process. So products those who have already been dispatched, for which the U.S. side has, the Customs and Border Patrol have already collected duties, that will be refunded because those products will land on the U.S. shores much after this period of time, and therefore the standard refund process will be followed by the U.S. side. The tariff duties, the additional ad valorem of over 50, like around 18% or more than 18%, which has been collected by the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, will be refunded through their standard mechanism. But clearly, this shows that there is an understanding both on the side of India as well as on the side of the United States that we want to work out this relation. We want to work out this arrangement, this new reduced tariff, and we want this trade to work. And that is why both sides have expressed their commitment. And see, what are the advantages for India? There is an acceleration of India's digital and the IT infrastructure, the increase in trade and technological products, which are likely to take place as far as the joint technology cooperation as part of the India-US trade deal. And the greater investment India is expecting, skill development, jobs, manufacturing partnership, etc.
Absolutely, Pranay. This comes in as a very crucial executive order that we're looking at, one that will take into effect 10:30 a.m. onward today. And we're keeping a very close watch on all these developments taking place and on the sidelines of this very trade deal joint statement that seems to have already been released.